Hello and welcome to another session of Streaming School. Really pleased that you are back. And I know today's been a really full day. So thank you very much for sticking with us throughout. Layla, my middle one, who was with us here for the last two sessions, has darted off somewhere, probably to do something less academic for the rest of her day. And she can blackmail me and say, I did 40 minutes of your school today, Daddy. I don't have to come back for any more. But we're really lucky to be joined again by David. David's tuning in all the way from Japan, staying up late to be with us, David.
Yes, happily so.
Yeah, really appreciate it. It's really kind of you to come on and help us with this. How's the camera situation?
Not better. So we'll just sidestep it for the time being and rely on the mic.
It was when we signed on and we heard it, and the first time you just obviously assumed it was the connection, because obviously David's kindly volunteering his time from Japan, and I think it's coming up to nearly 8:45 in the evening where you are, David.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Wonderful. My brother's a huge fan of Japan. Absolutely huge fan. Nish, I was watching a movie the other day about Japan. It was called Silence. It was about Christian missionaries and the treatment by the Japanese people who lived in Japan. You can obviously tell I've lost the word of what that level of society was. The Japanese people who lived in Japan. Jesus. Wow. Yeah. Geography was my strong point, Nish. That's what it was. Geography was my strong point. But David, thank you so much again for joining. The floor is completely yours. And if you need anything else, please just give us a shout.
Surely will. Thanks very much. Talk again in a little while. Okay. Today, thought we would focus a little bit more heavily and specifically on some reading skills. So again, I'm using ESLLounge.com. They have a lot of reading samples with vocabulary exercises and grammar exercises. Hopefully you can see that pretty clearly on the screen right now. So what we'll do here, because again, we're focusing primarily on English as a second language, is we'll read this together. And while you're going through this reading, I want to encourage you to look back at the vocabulary skill builder that we discussed last class. We talked about the journal and writing down the word that is new to you, and writing down the definition, and then the sample sentence, and then creating some unique sample sentences of your own using your own language, your own level of language, and carrying on through all of your reading like this. The nice thing about this reading is that there are some true-false questions that we're going to access afterward. And you can get a better idea. So this is probably something close to what you will be experiencing on your high school tests, and certainly something that you will find on IELTS exams as well. So I'll read this. You can follow along. You can read it on your own, and then we'll answer some questions together. So the title is Crystal Cruises, Luxury Every Day. As far as reading skills are concerned, you should pay special attention to the titles of anything that you are asked to read, especially for a test or an exam or an assessment. There's always some information in the title, and you can use that information for prediction purposes. Prediction is when you use information that you have at present to consider or imagine or guess some information that may be useful later on. So Crystal Cruises, Luxury Every Day, I have some idea that maybe this story is going to be about cruise ships, and it's probably going to be about pretty nice cruise ships, some kind of fancy trip on a cruise ship. Cruise ships are usually on the ocean. They tend to go internationally. So I can get quite a bit of information before I even begin reading. And that's a real key reading skill that everybody needs to develop, especially starting in high school, so that you can have an easier time answering questions on exams, and also creating discussion topics and reading questions for your classes. So let's get started with the reading, and then we'll answer the questions. Come and sail on a crystal cruise ship. We have 3 ships: the Crystal Queen, the Crystal Princess, the Crystal Palace. So it's probably some pretty useful information right there, the 3 names of those ships. Focusing on the different details that are highlighted in reading is also going to be helpful. So I'll try and go through the rest of this, and then we can come back to highlighting anything that might be important. Come and sail in luxury on cruises around the Caribbean Sea for 7 or 14 days. Our 7-day cruise costs $2,000, and our 2-week cruise is $3,500. A typical 1-week cruise. Day 1, departure from Miami. Day 2, free day in Nassau in the Bahamas. Day 3, near Haiti. Day 4, visit Puerto Rico and Antigua. Day 5, free day in Barbados. Day 6, free day in Port of Spain, Trinidad. Day 7, travel to Caracas, Venezuela. Day 8, fly home. All food and drink is included in the price of your cruise, except for alcoholic drinks. Our cruise ships all have a casino, a cinema, a 5-star restaurant, a theater, a library, and a fully equipped gymnasium. If you prefer to go on a cruise in another part of the world, we also organize cruises in the Baltic Sea and the Mediterranean. Our ships carry over 2,000 passengers, and we have nearly 600 crew members. So come on board today for the holiday of a lifetime. Call immediately, 020-4455-832. You may also read that phone number as 020-4455-832. Okay, so let's briefly discuss some reading skills and some key takeaways that you can use in probably everything that you ever read. You can rely on the title and using the title as a predictor for what's going to be discussed in the rest of the story. You can use proper nouns, right? You have the name of the boats, the name of the ships. This information is probably going to be very important later on. At the very least, it's very easy for you to find that information again. Some other key information that's pretty easy for you to identify and that's likely to be important are numbers, right? So you have 7 or 14 days. Another proper noun, Caribbean Sea. So where? Caribbean Sea. How long? 7 or 14 days. Here again, you have numbers that are very easy to identify and that are likely to be useful for your recall purposes. Recall is your memory. You've got $2,000 here. Here you've got $3,500. Another way, excuse me, another way to say $3,500 is $3,500. So there are some different ways. If you were listening to this story, for example, you might hear it expressed in different ways, and that's a good example of that. The typical 1-week cruise, again, you've got a lot of names here, a lot of proper names of cities and countries, and so you should pay special attention to remembering where this information is in the story, because when you go to answer the questions, you're going to need to reflect, you're going to need to go back into the story and review the different bits of information, okay? Here is some additional information, right? That the food and drinks are included. Now here you have parentheses. So the parentheses are also highlighting something that may be important later on when you're trying to answer questions. So except for alcoholic drinks. So all of the food and drinks are paid for, but you'll have to pay for your own alcohol if you're on this ship or one of these ships. And then little bits of special information about what is happening on the ships, right? Casino, cinema, 5-star restaurant, theater, library, and a gymnasium, also known as a gym. And there you can see we've got the repetition of the Mediterranean and the Baltic Sea. And again, some numbers, right? 2,000 passengers, 600 crew members. So now let's see how much of that information comes up in these questions. So question 1, your cruise starts in the Bahamas. Is that true or false? Well, I can jump right back up to day 1 because I know where this information is in my reading, and I can see that it leaves from Miami, right? Departure is a good vocabulary word, something that will be useful for you to know. You have a free day in Antigua. Okay, so to answer this question, I have 2 good options, right? I can remember that Antigua is in the itinerary, another good vocabulary word, itinerary, and that free day was also mentioned in that itinerary. So let's see if those things are aligned. Free day, Antigua, no, so those are in different places. Free day, free day. Okay, so it looks like this one is going to be false because we are going to visit Puerto Rico and Antigua, right? So false there. You can go on a cruise for 2 weeks. Well, if you remember from the beginning, we have it very clearly stated there, 7 or 14 days. 14 days being equivalent to 2 weeks. So I'm going to say true. There are 3 different ships in the Crystal Cruises company, right? We talked about those right at the beginning because they're very easy to highlight. And it says 3, so yes. And say that one is true as well. There is a cinema on board each ship. You'll remember that some of those highlighted activities, cinema is included as one of them. So I'll again say true. The cruise finishes in a different country. The question's not 100% clear, but it seems like you're leaving from Miami, right, which is in America, and you are in Venezuela on the last day. So it looks like this is true. The cruise will finish in a different country. You can keep fit while you are on board the cruise ship. Now, maybe you don't know what keep fit means. You're going to be in trouble if you don't know what keep fit means. That is an idiomatic phrase, and it's good for you to study idioms. So that's if you another idea for you while you're studying English for the early days is to keep an idiomatic kind of journal. So you can write down all of the idioms that you learn. Idioms are phrases that exist in many languages. I don't know if all languages, but certainly in English, you have information that doesn't match with the words that are being used to describe it. So keep fit, it could be virtually impossible to understand what that phrase means if you don't understand the idiomatic meaning. And so the idiomatic meaning is to look healthy, to be in shape. Another idiomatic phrase that doesn't necessarily make sense. To be in shape. What kind of shape? Circle, square? No. To be in good shape means to keep fit. To keep fit means to be healthy. And if you are healthy, one of the indicators of being healthy, right, is being either slim or muscular or some combination of the two. And so where do you do that? Well, you do that in a gymnasium or a gym, right? And so we know that the ship has a fully equipped gymnasium. So, long way of answering that question as true. And the company only does cruises in the Caribbean. I don't think that's true, right? If you prefer to go on a cruise in another part of the world, we also organize cruises in the Baltic Sea and the Mediterranean. So again, you can see how important these proper nouns are. They will give you a clear indication of what might be, what's likely to be important in any kind of reading activity that you're doing. So the company only does cruises in the Caribbean. That one is going to be false. So mark answers. I hope that that means that I'm going to find out. All right, so I got 100%. So I'm doing a pretty good job of reading and answering these questions. So this is good. Hopefully you are as well. And hopefully if you have questions, you'll send them to us so that we can make sure that we're focusing on those. Now, and we'll spend more time on this topic in the next class, but I'll get you started on this one because I think it's very interesting. And many of you, not all of you, are going to have to focus on essay writing in high school. Essay writing, the beginnings of essay writing can be very tricky. Generally, we think that writing is a process that is like a straight line. There's a start and a finish. I have an assignment. I need to write an essay. So I start writing an essay. I have all the ideas, and then I finish my essay. And usually, it doesn't happen like that at all. Usually, we suffer from what is known as writer's block, which means we get stuck because ideas can be very difficult to create in real time, especially when we're taking a test and especially when we have a lot of homework. So one of the solutions, and a solution that you can start to practice on your own, is to brainstorm. So one way to brainstorm is to create a mind map. What I have here for you at app.mindmaker.org is a digital mind map maker. It's free and it's very useful. And you can save it and you can copy and paste it and you can share it with people and you can come back to it and add more to it. So let's look at the cruise ship story and let's discuss how to begin to use a mind map very briefly. And then we'll come back to it and generate a fresh one about a random topic in future classes. So what we're doing here is taking information and visually displaying it in a way that's going to make it easier for us to use it. So you've got Crystal Cruises, right? So let's just entitle this Crystal Cruises. Okay, now what do we know about the cruises? Well, there are a certain number of ships, right? And we know that there are 3 of them. So what are their names? Crystal Queen, Crystal Princess, Crystal Palace. Crystal Queen. Crystal Princess. Crystal Palace. Oops. Okay, so you can start to see how the mind map takes shape. What else do we know about Crystal Cruises? Well, it goes to different locations, right? So where does it start? It can start in the Caribbean Sea, in the Baltic Sea, or in the Mediterranean. So let's put Baltic Sea. No, let's not. Let's put locations. Baltic Sea. Caribbean, which it looks like I've misspelled, but I'll double check. And then so what you can see is happening here is that we're spreading out the information in ways that's going to make it easier for us to use it when we are potentially composing an essay. And generally speaking, just right now, the way it's being used is just to isolate information, right? What's another topic? Activities on the ship, right? So what were the different activities? Well, there's a cinema. There's a gym. There's a casino. What else was there? Casino, restaurants, theater, library. A lot of activities on these ships. And let's just leave it at that. Restaurant, I'll add the one more. But the important thing here is 2 things. Number one, this tool being free and being directly related to organization of ideas is something that you can use in a bottom-up kind of style. So from having information to redirecting information, which is what I've done here. Or you can use it from a top-down direction where you are starting with the idea that I need to write an essay, and we'll do this next week. I need to write an essay, and here are the rules and the requirements of my essay. And so you can start from nothing and build out based on your own ideas. And this is one of the key elements of brainstorming. And it's one of the best ways to utilize this kind of tool. And if you don't have access to the internet, you can always make mind maps in your notebook. And they're very useful in terms of organizing ideas. And so next time we will create one form of essay from scratch, and you can get a better look at the brainstorming process. Again, and as always, please be sure to send any kind of questions or comments or requests back to us, and we'll do what we can to address your comments and questions in future lessons. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, David. That's really, really appreciated. What does the rest of the evening hold in store for you?
Go have dinner and, relax. Get ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, you forget when
it's
that far ahead.
See what about you all?
I am probably going to take the kids out for a little run around, even though it started raining, and that's just the vindictive part of me. So yeah, I'm going to enjoy actually just getting completely soaked. What about you, Nish?
Yeah, I was probably going to go for a walk. It's not raining at the moment. I can't see if I can get out quickly.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, that's basically it. In England, we just go for walks in the rain. That's kind of all we do.
Nice.
Brilliant, buddy. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure, as always. Looking forward to the next one.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey, Nish, so that brings us to the end of another day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was hearing today that schools might come back in 3 weeks or so. Well, just before June. So that would be 3rd week of May.
Mad. I thought this was going to feel a lot like it would drag out a lot more, but it's not going to be bad.
You thought what? Sorry, my dear.
That the isolation was going to drag out, social distancing was going to drag out a lot more than it has. It's not going to be really bad. I think back to when it started, and it's been a long time.
The amount that we're content with not doing, much, and me, like I was on. I think I measured it last year. I was on 110 different plane journeys. I was away for 7 months, and now I've just been in the same place. I don't even go. I've left the house 3 times in 2 months. Like literally, I go to the garden, but apart from that, I haven't left the house. I've been 3 times in 2 months. But I just, what will come back, what will change, what will this, take a much smarter person than me to comment on that. But yeah, it really feels like a seismic shift.
Yeah.
But as long as we've got the good old rain.
I know, we keep going for walks.
Brilliant. Do you want to share your screen and go through the last bit, my dear?
There wasn't actually a task today. It was just practice.
Wonderful. No, that's cool. Then we can wish everyone a very, very happy Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your day. It's all yours, Nish.
Have a great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Please go and look on YouTube and Facebook if you want to catch up on anything. There is a Stream School website as well that I'll put in the descriptions.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you.